morning. Good morning. This is Galen Bingham, the leadership strategist, and I want to welcome you to the International Mastermind Think and Grow Rich show. We get together each week, Saturday morning at 8 a.m. Eastern, and discuss principles of Think and Grow Rich. And I'm excited to be with you today. And I've got one of my co-hosts with me, Dr. Peter James, and I'd like to go ahead and bring him in because we got kind of this is like a special deal, right? So this is Masterclass, but all the ladies have left us to ourselves. So we get to have a Masterclass by ourselves. God help us. We don't know what this is going to turn into. How are you doing today?
Galen, they left us the keys. They told us to do whatever we need to do. And you know what? Today we're going to talk about desire. My name is Dr. Peter A. James, the high performance coach, helping you to shift your mindset. Happy to be with Boys Night Out or Boys Morning Out, Galen, where we take the house and do what we want to today. And today we're going to dive into the desire that we have to accomplish whatever goal that we set forth to do. I'm excited, Galen. It's just me and you, right? It is just me and you, right?
It's just us.
Wait a minute.
Wait a second. No, so Dr. Peter, no, it's not going to be just us. How dare you think that it was going to be just us? We've got Miss Ann McNeil, the master builder. Come on in here, Miss Ann. How you doing?
If I were any better, I would be you, Galen, and you, Dr. James. So my favorite subject, desire. And as we prepare for this annual meeting, we're going to discuss your desire, your plans, and how are you coming with that annual report, since this is recording on the same day as the annual meeting. So we would love to hear about your desire in the completion of that report and maybe what's being revealed by all of the work that our listeners are doing and also our co-hosts are doing. So,
well, fantastic. Well, this is going to be a great conversation because we're going to be focusing on the principle of desire, and desire is the starting point of all achievement. And this is a really, really important topic. And I like the way Napoleon Hill says it. He says every human being reaches an age of understanding of the purpose of money and wishing for it. But wishing will not bring riches. But desiring riches with a state of mind that becomes an obsession, then planning definite ways and means of acquiring riches and backing those plans with persistence, which does not recognize failure, that will bring riches. And by riches, yeah, we're talking about money, but we're not necessarily just talking about money. And so I hope we get into that conversation as well, because this is really the starting point. It's not about wishing for something. It's not about just wanting something, but it's about desire, kindling that burning desire, this thing that you say that you want. And this is the perfect time of year because everyone's come off of this resolution building period where they talk about these things that they want to have someday. And this is how you make those someday goals a reality. So that's going to be what this conversation is about. And can't wait to get into it. But Dr. Peter, I want to bring you back on because before we get into this conversation about desire, I'd love for you to take us through just kind of all the principles, because this is the starting point. This is what kicks everything off. But there are some other principles that go into making this a reality.
Absolutely, Galen. This phenomenal text by Napoleon Hill, Think and Grow Rich, is chock full of gems, pearls, gifts that he has provided to us to really help us in our life's journey, on our career, and our business for that matter. And yes, the title of the book is Think and Grow Rich. And as Galen has said, it's not even just about money. There's so much more to that. And we'll dive into what desire looks like even outside of the financial picture that we keep alluding to as well. So pay attention, give a listen to this video here, and listen to these 13 steps, these 13 chapters, and see how they all factor in to whatever your goal is, whatever your outcome is that you desire. And we'll talk about it on the other side.
Number 1 is desire. Napoleon Hill said that everything starts with a burning desire, a compelling reason for doing what it is we do. Step 2 is faith, having belief in our ability to attain that which we desire. Step 3 is what we call autosuggestion. Autosuggestion simply means being very intentional about the things that we are pouring into our thoughts, into our brains, and into our consciousness. Our brains, our minds will receive everything automatically, but we have to work extra hard to make sure that the positive things are what we are feeding ourselves, because those positive thoughts are going to turn into positive actions. Step number 4 is specialized knowledge. No one person knows everything, even about whatever their particular area of expertise might be. And the value of the mastermind principle is using the specialized knowledge of other people. Step number 5 is imagination, the workshop of the mind. Everything starts with our imagination and our thoughts, the burning desire to transform those thoughts into our reality. In order to do that, we have to take a look at step 6, which is organized planning. That is how we crystallize our desire into action, organizing ourselves. Having the thought and not acting on the thought isn't going to get us anywhere. We have the thought, we go through the organized planning to transform that thought into action. Step number 7 is decision. What Napoleon Hill said is the mastery of procrastination. Napoleon Hill said that the antidote to procrastination is simply to make a decision and then move on that decision. Step 8 is persistence. We have to have a sustained effort which is induced by our faith in order to achieve our goals. One of Napoleon Hill's books I love, even the title, 3 Feet from Gold. Those people who became rich during the gold rush in the wild, wild west days didn't do that because they were necessarily smarter or had better information than anyone else. It's because they stayed just a little bit longer. Sometimes people left when they were just literally 3 feet from gold. So hanging in there, being persistent, is step number 8. Step number 9, the power of the mastermind, the driving force. None of us can accomplish anything on our own. Everybody, I don't care who you are, from the most prominent person to the person who might be considered the lowest on the totem pole, everybody has someone who helped them get to where they are. And the power of the mastermind is being able to use those influences around us, use the thoughts, use the knowledge, use the exploration of other people to help us in achieving our goal. Step number 10, the mystery of sex transmutation. This title can be a little confusing, but essentially what the mystery of sex transmutation means is that we oftentimes in our society think of sex as being purely physical. It is absolutely physical, but what Napoleon Hill teaches us is that sex also has an emotional element, and that sex is the strongest of our desires. That if we can take our sexual energy, transform that into positive, creative influences, it can propel us to new heights. And so we spend quite a bit of time talking about the mystery of step 10, which is sex transmutation. Step number 11 is the subconscious mind, which Napoleon Hill tells us is the connecting leap between our human mind and the infinite intelligence, the source of all thought, the source of all creativity. Conscious mind, we spent some time talking about how we use that through the influence of autosuggestion and what we're feeding into our mind. Step number 12, which is the brain, the broadcasting and receiving station of thought. Final step number 13, the sixth sense, the door to the temple of wisdom. This is the final step through which infinite intelligence may and will communicate voluntarily without any effort from or demands by the individual. The principle is the apex of the philosophy. It can be assimilated, understood, and applied only by first mastering the other 12 principles.
All right, well, there you have it. Those are the principles that all of this sits on. and that we are so excited to share with you each week. But it all starts with desire. So we're going to get to this conversation, but first, I just want to acknowledge some people that have already started to join us there in the comment area. We got Doretha. Thank you so much for joining us, Doretha, this morning. You're always so loyal. Laverne, I see you. Good morning. Wyman, it's been a while since we've talked live, but thank you so much for joining. And Johnny Lloyd, you should actually be at this annual meeting that we're having, but I'm so glad that you're joining us here. We got some comments coming in, so thank you guys. But Dr. Peter, I'd like to bring you in because this is the start of a brand new year, and you as a coach, you get as frustrated as I do when you hear people say, "I have this goal that I want to accomplish someday." So this process, how do you leverage this process to help you get out of this someday mode and actually put some structure around these things that you want to accomplish?
It's such a great question there, Galen. It's ironic. I was just chatting with a client before our call right now, and I had introduced two words to him, and those words were specificity and intentionality, right? And so now let's bring that back to desire, because especially this time of the year, as you mentioned, we talk a lot about resolutions, we talk a lot about goals, and then they kind of filter off early on in January. Here's another great example. I like to go to the gym, and I hate going to the gym this time of year because I have all these New Year's resolutions individuals. And I always say by about the third week in January, the gym will be back to its regular self. But what happens at that time? Individuals who said they want to come and do the gym and go to the gym every day or go every other day, their desire, their will, their intentionality is lacking, right? And to go back what Galen had mentioned, just the wishing by itself will not do it. And as a coach, I challenge individuals on their will, and I challenge individuals on their desire. And the question I'll ask them is, what does your desire look like to accomplish this goal? How willing are you to accomplish that? And on a scale of 1 to 10, where would you say you rank on accomplishing this goal? What is your will like to accomplish that goal? And if they say it's a 7, I'll say, well, what will it take to get that to a 10? Right? So all of this kind of goes back to the desire. How much desire? How weighty is your desire? How much do you need to increase your desire? And again, this doesn't just talk about money by any stretch of the imagination, Galen. I love that page 29 of the text says this, and this is one of my favorite chapters, favorite phrases in the text. And I want to bring everybody back for this one. Christianity became one of the greatest powers in the world because its founder was an intense dreamer who had the vision and the imagination. Yes, you have to have the vision and the imagination first to see realities in their mental and spiritual form before they had been transmuted into their physical form. And Ann McNeil, I know that's a big part of your existence there. Like, you referenced Christianity. So what are your thoughts on this desire? Am I making too much of it?
Absolutely not. Maybe not enough. And I think that oftentimes people don't stay to the commitment because their desire may not be a burning desire. So those people who are not keeping their commitment to the gym may not have accountability, may not have a coach, may not have a consultant, may not have a burning desire to have better health. Because that's truly the wealth. It is the health. And so without that desire documented with a plan of action, we tend to slack off without accountability. So those are my thoughts in terms of, for all of us, if it's that serious enough, show me where it's written.
Yeah. Let's go back to that Christianity chapter there that mentions, of course, they're talking about Jesus Christ. Napoleon Hill's talking about Jesus Christ, who had this vision, which didn't just stop at the vision or the dream, but now how do you turn that dream, that vision into realities, into actions and behaviors? He had the desire to take it to the next level. Would you agree?
Oh, absolutely. But whereas the plan for the
Mhm.
action, and with
Mm.
every desire, if that plan is not written, and the accountability, you see, he had a written plan, and those are the words that we follow, some of us. And it doesn't matter who you or what you follow, whether it's the
Sure.
Quran, whatever it is that you follow. The point is that it's written. It's written. Where are your plans for your desire? And I like to encourage people in the fact that our major corporations that many of us are familiar with, on an annual basis, they have an annual report for their shareholders. You know, if you live in a city or county, your city or county, the mayor or somebody has an annual report on the status and the health of that city or county or school board. And the same thing with the United States. The president comes in the beginning of the year at some point and he gives us the state of the address for the country.
Mhm.
I don't think that is asking too much for each of us to do the same thing for our lives, to have an annual report written. It could be one page, whatever it is, but write something that you desire strongly that you want to be held accountable for. So those are the ways I think that whether it's Christianity or whatever you worship has just been able to grow all over the world because there was a written plan of action. Now we don't always follow it, but there is a plan.
Hey, so Ms. Ann, I wanted to bring in this question that we've got in the chat, and Houseman 527 says that this is the first time they're watching the show, and that if Think and Grow Rich, if riches doesn't mean money, what else could riches mean? And this just reminds me of a conversation you and I had a little while ago, where you were talking about all the different things that Napoleon Hill defined as riches. Money was on the list, but it wasn't at the top of the list. Share
Exactly.
some of those things that are on the list.
Well, actually, when you think about the riches, I was shocked, Galen, to find as I read that the riches actually ended up being, I think, out of the 12 enduring riches, if I'm not mistaken. I think that money may have been somewhere around 12,
Hmm.
11 or 12. I think money may have been somewhere around 11 or 12. And so when you think about the list, and I'll just kind of go through the list. But that is if people are interested. Everybody's not interested, Caitlin, in knowing that that money's not at the top of the list. So when you think about this in the order that he gives it, he says actually your physical health is
Mm.
the first enduring riches. And so for that question, and the person is asking that question, just think about if you had all the money in the world, would it take a higher place than your health? Harmony is number two. Harmony in your relations with people, whoever they are. You want harmony. That's the second. The third is freedom from fear. And when you think about freedom from fear, there's a lot of things that we attribute fear to. And when you can think about being free from those, money is not a factor because we know some very wealthy people that fear losing it. They fear so many things, and that will not take the place of having the freedom from fear. The fifth item on the list is hope of future achievement. And that's what we're talking about right now with a desire. What is our hope for a future achievement in the desire as we set our goals for 6 months, 1 year, 5 years, 10 years, 20 years, and even further? But the sixth item on the list is interestingly a capacity of applied faith, not just having faith, Galen, but applying that
Mm.
faith and having the capacity to apply the faith. Seven is a willingness to share whatever you have as a blessing, whether you do that in a foundation or you serve your time, talents, or treasure. And then number eight is to be engaged in a labor of love. And that also can be attributed to something around the area of service. Number nine is an open mind on all subjects. That is tough That is tough. And then number 10, complete self-discipline. And for those of us that work at this on a daily basis, it is not easy. Number 11 is wisdom and understanding people. And then number 12 is financial security. And that's where money fits at the bottom of the list as number 12. I hope that was helpful.
Oh my! I mean, it really does put into perspective. And I'm thinking back to what Peter was talking about, with health being number one on the list. It's one thing to say, "Man, I wish I were healthy." Man, I'd like to be healthy, but do you have a burning desire for health? And a lot of times, people, when they have poor health, that's what they find, that burning desire. Um, so what are some things that, and I guess I'll go back to you, Dr. Peter. What are some things that come to mind when you think about this passage in that Napoleon Hill talks about, where he said you got to have a burning all ships type of desire? What does that bring to mind, as far as something that you might have a burn all ships type of desire for?
Yeah, that's scary when you think about that. So let me go back first to the list that Ann just rattled off a little bit. As she was going down the list, I was actually thinking about each area of my life and how they related to those topics and how they ranked even according to riches, which was number 12, financial gain for that matter. I also noticed that how some of them overlapped, right? So if we go back to the health, I want to, in 2022, I'm going to eat better, right? Do you have the discipline to eat better? So now we're incorporating some other things there, because it's easy not eat well, but do you have the discipline to do this? And then again, what is the burning desire to eat better? For that matter, for me, I think, okay, as an African American male, I know that sometimes hypertension, high blood pressure runs in our DNA. I would like to put a halt to that. I have a burning desire to put a halt to that, so that I do want to eat better. I do need to have the discipline to do so. So I need to carve that out very strategically, as I said earlier, very specifically, and then also very intentionally moving forward. And then, as Ann also mentioned, who's helping to hold you accountable to that goal, to that burning desire? Doing it by yourself. I'm going back to the gym, because I've been in the gym. I have a trainer. I just got a trainer recently. I didn't ever think I needed a trainer. I'm already in there. And it's interesting. I got a trainer and she is kicking my butt, right? And I never, and here's why. While I'm doing okay in the gym, there's always another level.
Yes.
Right? She's holding me accountable to that next level. So now those of you who are watching right now, who's holding you accountable to that goal that you've identified, number one, but also to your next level? And that's a great synopsis of this burning desire, Galen, going deep from that perspective. That accountability is huge.
What about you, Ms. Ann? What's something that you can, as you think back, and some of the successes that you've had, because you've had so many, some of the successes that you've had, you can attribute it to just your having a burning desire, which was the catalyst for what you are now enjoying. You're on mute.
I will always go back to that December 31st date and drawing the line in the sand and coming to the adult realization. You are broke and broken. And if you don't do something different, you will live like this for the rest of your life. I decided, no, this is it, not going to happen. So the desire started with $1,000 to save. Took me 10 years to get out of the debt. Now, that desire on page 28 of having an amount of money, this is what the 6 steps that he gives us in the book, Think and Grow Rich. He says, first of all, Ann McNeil, Galen, Dr. James, and all of our listeners that have chimed in on YouTube and Facebook this morning. How much money do you want? And once you set that in writing, the second question he said is, what product or service are you going to sell in return for that money? The third question, Galen, he said, is by what date do you want the money by? Number 4 is, what is your plan of action? Number 5, take the first 4 questions and create an affirmation statement. And the number 6, recite it twice a day. Galen, that has been the plan I have used every single month since 1979, 5 businesses later, and everything comes from that burning desire to understand is driven by the amount of money. Health, Dr. James talked about a trainer. It takes money to pay that lady. Wealth, I just turned a certain age where I get the little card, but I got to pay every single month for that card. Nobody told me that when you get a certain age, you still have to pay Medicaid, Medicare, whatever it is, you still have to pay. So everything is coming back to that desire for a certain amount of money. And it's not to say that the desire is the money, but the desire is what the money will allow us to invest in to have a better quality of life in our health, in our family. And many of the enduring riches that we talked about, but many of them take an investment of money. So I would say, Galen, for me, it is just that understanding the importance of understanding how to make the money.
Yeah, I mean that's so important, and I love the way that you tell your story. I never grow old of hearing your story because it really does get to the foundation of where everyone needs to come to. If you don't come to that point where you say, you know what, enough is enough. I am tired. I'm sick and tired of being sick and tired, and I'm not going to go back. This is it. If you never come to that point, then you're gonna come to people like me and Dr. James with your someday goals, and we're going to roll our eyes and and we're not going to be able to help you because you have to decide
Yes.
that enough is enough.
Yes. The author talks about finding your other self. And it took me many years of not just reading Think and Grow Rich, but many other books that I finally understood from reading his story that there was a point in his life where his life was threatened. And at that point, he found his other self. And that other self allowed him to break through some mindset shift kinds of things to do the work that we know. And when I read that, I began to better understand that we all have to come to that realization of exactly what you're saying and acknowledging, I don't want to live like this anymore. And that is the point. We each find our other self. Powerful.
Yeah, Dr. James, I want to bring you into this because there's one of my favorite lines in this book, and it really sums up maybe not the whole philosophy, but certainly my understanding of desire. It says, if you don't see great riches in your imagination, you will never see them in your bank balance. And we just talked about how, yeah, bank balance relative to financial riches, but this idea of mindset that Miss Ann just brought in, if you don't see this in your imagination, you will never see it in reality. What's your take on that?
Yeah, I love that, Galen, overall. From a perspective of before there can actually be actions and behavior, your mindset has to be on the right wavelength. And unfortunately, there's many of us in society today whose mindset is not. And we often can tell soon after having a conversation with someone where their mindset is, if they're going to achieve it. Because usually the language that they're using, the people that they surround themselves with, their environments tell a tale even more than, hey, I'm going to make this money or I'm going to do this. There's so many other factors. So I even just mentioned the whole perspective of who are you surrounding yourself with? Who's in your mastermind, as we'll talk about later on this year, right? Who's in your circle that is supporting you, challenging you, holding you accountable on this journey? But even before that, how bad do you want it? What is the desire? In the text, it talks about all these different individuals whose mindset were in a certain place before they even begun the journey. And yes, they had to have the right mindset, and then they had to follow suit with the right people. So whether it is controversial or not, Christopher Columbus, Copernicus, Henry Ford, Thomas Edison, Abraham Lincoln, Marconi, I could keep going on and on. They all had this dream, this desire, and more times than not even having the money at that point. They had the right mindset. But now what follows that mindset, that desire, is the appropriate actions, is the appropriate behavior, is the accountability. And going back to something that Ann said earlier, writing it down with the definite date, the right amount of money, being very specific and very intentional about what you're trying to accomplish. Again, that follows the mindset for sure, Galen. So, I hate that I feel like I'm talking about it like it's so easy, but it has to be practiced. It has to be become habits. It has to become a process. And then over time, that process becomes a little bit easier. So now surrounding myself with Ann McNeil and Galen Bingham is almost easy for me now, but hasn't always been that way.
Yeah, I just want to add something to what you're saying. I thought about a quote I read somewhere from William James that said that, a man can alter his future by altering his thoughts, very simply. And that is really where the desire and the work is. Because if you don't have a desire, then there's no altering of the thoughts. So everything goes back to desire. And then going back to your point about the clients, and we don't have to wonder, because like you said, Dr. James, you can talk to someone for a brief moment and know where they are. If they're talking about people, talk to the hand. If they're talking about a vision, a mission, and things they aspire to do, let's have a conversation. But we must recognize that in other people, just like they recognize it in us. That's deep. You got to check yourself. Each one of us, we have to check ourselves. And then we look in the mirror and we see what they see. We feel what they feel coming back to us. And this is one of the reasons why the author says, before you start a mastermind group, try the spirit by the spirit. Very simply, that's what he's saying. You only start with one person. You must agree. Two people must agree with the third, and so on. And that is literally trying the spirit by the spirit.
Hey, one of the things I want us to talk about, because Miss Ann, you mentioned a couple of times how important it is to write it down, to write your plan down. And we're all at the annual meeting for representing to the year 2020, but we're also looking forward to 2021. So talk a little bit about why that's so important and why, and we're looking back to 2021, looking forward to 2022. Talk a little bit about why that's so important. And one of the things you shared with me a while ago is that we shouldn't be putting more effort and work into working for someone else than we would do in representing ourselves as if we were our own corporation. So anyone that sees my annual report, they often say, wow, this is a bit extra. But I'm just trying to follow that advice, Miss Ann, and make sure that I'm not putting any less work in representing myself as a corporation as I would if I were working for Ford or Coca-Cola or McDonald's building their annual report. Why is it important to do those two things? Write it down and then put the same level of effort into your own annual report as you would for a company.
Excellent question, Galen. I'll challenge everybody that's listening to think of yourself as a publicly traded corporation. Publicly traded corporation. Your shareholders will decide whether or not they will invest in you. And if they're going to get a good return, I'd like to suggest that the 10 departments of your business life are the 10 departments that's on that survey, that's in your annual report. So a major corporation, going back to the point you're making about investing in yourself versus investing in somebody else's company. So think of your life like this, Caitlin. When you set your spiritual goals, your family goals, your financial goals, your health goals, your education goals, your personal development goals, your business or career goals, your recreation, your creativity, and your civic goals, you are going to project out the first year with quarters. Your investors will determine if you set a goal and you don't hit it, they're not going to invest. If you set the bar too low, their return is not as great. If you set the bar too high, you automatically know you're not going to hit that. And so when we shift how we look at ourselves, now you can create a burning desire for a better quality of life in every one of those areas. You look at where you are today and you look back at historical data. When you analyze a stock, a publicly traded company, you would love to have 10 years of data, historical data on the earnings and the history of that firm. Those 10 years of data would give you a projection where you can average out what are the projections for the future for the earnings of that firm. So by documenting your life in writing every single year, you have, right now, you already have 3 years of data based upon what you said in each of those areas. You can look back, like Dr. James said, you can look back in your health area and you can say, you know what? I set these health goals 3 years ago. I'm on track. Your investors will invest in you because you're on track. You can look at your goals for your business or any other area and you say, wow, I'm not on track. What must I do to get on track? This is where the mastermind of accountability partners come in to help you get on track, stay on track. And every quarter, you should be updating those reports.
And there is nothing like that level of accountability. It's one thing to say, well, I'm going to get in shape, but once you've written down what you're planning to do, the goal that you want to accomplish, and then you sit with someone and say, this is what I wrote down, they're holding you accountable for. Now you something's going to happen.
You're on the line.
You either need to change the goal or you need to get off your butt and go do something. One
You're on
or
the
the
line.
other.
Yes.
You're on the line.
You're on the line.
Well, Dr. Peter, I want to talk to you a little bit. Ann raised a question at the beginning of this conversation and tried to dance around and skirt it. So I'm going to throw this back to you first. How are you coming with your annual report for 2021? Looking forward to 2022, because I know this isn't your first time. So how are you coming with building that out?
Yeah, this annual report thing is so interesting for sure. And I look forward to it every single year. And it's interesting, you made a comment earlier, Galen, how some individuals will say, hey, this is a bit much. It's a bit extra, as you said there, Galen. Why is it extra for them? Why do they see it as extra? I'm looking here.
Can I answer?
Please, yes,
I
absolutely.
just got off of a pre-work call and the person said, I don't want to work that hard. I don't want to work that hard. That's why I'm not come to the pre-work meetings. I don't want to work that hard. This is work.
That's a desire question. That's a desire comment. That's a desire comment.
Or the lack thereof.
Right. Meaning the lack of desire right there.
Yes.
And so you can go back and say, how willing are you? How much desire do you have to accomplish whatever it is? And they'll say, oh, I have all the desire. Okay. And from my perspective, Galen, my desire is so strong that I'm willing to do whatever it takes to accomplish my goals and my dreams.
Question. So what's the most challenging part of that report this year for you? Same thing for you, Galen.
Oh, wow. I'll go this way. It's very easy for me to stay on the career and business side of it. That's my thing. I really had to double down when it comes to family relationships, extended family, even for that matter, too. That's where I have to work at. And my wife will be the first one to tell you, it's easy for you to work all night, but come watch a movie with us and you have a problem with it. And I have, yes. So I that's where I actually put a little bit more effort in there this year there, Ann.
I'll kind of similarly, one of my biggest areas is in recreation. If you look at my career, my business goals, I've got some pretty detailed, elaborate plans. I've got financial projections with each of those elements. I've broken it down and actually I've drawn examples of how that's supposed to work. And I was actually kind of proud of myself because this year I had 3 things under recreation that I was absolutely going to master and do. So I was proud of myself until I saw your plan, Dr. Peter, and you got like 9 vacations that you're planning to take, detailed with where you're going,
No,
when
no
you're leaving.
comparison. No
And
judge.
I'm
No
like, is
judging.
there, well, the point is there more? That's that accountability. Is there more that I could be doing to balance out my life? Because my recreation looks nothing like my business and career goals. They look nothing like each other.
I'm
So
shaking my head for those who are on the podcast. They can't see my head shaking. No, 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 no. It is a lack of desire for recreational goals. Dr. James has a burning desire to take off. That's why he has a goal and a plan. But you and I, me and you, we don't have that burning desire. And similarly, my daughter actually, and we're doing my report in December, we actually booked cruises and trips for that same reason and and then we pay for them in advance. Yes. Because otherwise, if it's not planned, not going to happen. And I thought back to last year, this time I was in Senegal. The year before that, at this time, I was on a Alaskan cruise with my daughter. A year before that, I was on a cruise 2 weeks with my grandson. And so I've kind of let those things go because of different things that's going on in the world, but we're planning it and just will wear our mask. So I would suggest we need to get a burning desire.
I like that because as a matter of fact, I did that very thing relative to some educational things, right? There were some educational things that I want to make sure that I did. So I paid for them. I paid for them, 3 weeks ago, and they're not going to happen until March. But for vacation, let's wait and see, right?
No, you're worthy, but you're worthy, and so is your family.
Absolutely.
So you could actually kill 2 birds with 1 stone by making it a family goal as a part of your family mission statement. Now, I'll say the one for me that's most challenging this year past was my health, because I track I have a form that I keep I think it's like, when you get older, y'all guys not here yet, but as you get older, there's certain things you must do on an annual basis. So shockingly for me, when I went to have some tests done, they said, you have to go see your primary care physician. So of course, she it's on my list. And when I went to see them, they laughed and they said, "Oh, you're back." I'm like, "What do you mean? I've been here." So they say, No. Our records show we have not seen you for 18 months. I said, No. And they said, No. You've been to a lot of other places, but you've not been here to your primary care so we can take your blood. And so I say that because, again, if I did not have to check the box and be serious about checking that health box to make sure I went to see my ophthalmologist, my optician, my optometrist, podiatrist, all of these things. Just let it slack. This is work.
Yeah.
It's called life. It's work.
I like what you said just in passing. You said that you have to be serious. And it's interesting how we will take so many other things external to us more seriously than we will take our own life. And that's what this process is about. And it is a lot of work, particularly the first time you do it. It's a lot of work. And but the second time, I promise you, it's going to be a little less work. And then the third time is going to be even a little less work than that. And eventually you're going to be at a point where, like me and Dr. Peter and Miss Ann, where we actually look forward to it. Because number one, it gives you an opportunity to identify those things that you may have overlooked. And then number two, it gives you an opportunity to brag to yourself. Even if you don't have an accountability partner, you get to brag to yourself, hey, look, I did that. I nailed that objective. That objective seemed outrageously aggressive a year ago. And now I get to say that I nailed it. I get to mark it off or check the box or whatever the case is.
Galen, it becomes a lifestyle.
Yes.
It becomes a part of who you are. And again, the first time it's a little challenging. It's a lot of work, but now it's like, oh, wow, I can't wait to get into this. And now I can't wait to experience this. Can't wait to experience those trips or that money, right? It changes everything, but you got to put in the work.
Well,
yes.
That's what this process is about. That's what this principle is about. It's about desire. It's the first principle of Napoleon Hill's Think and Grow Rich philosophy. And I want to thank you guys for helping us talk about this. And if you're listening to this or if you're watching this, I want to really challenge you to subscribe to our YouTube channel, Think and Grow Rich Mastermind Live. You can put that in the search box, Think and Grow Rich Mastermind Live. And then once you find us, hit that little subscribe button and make sure you hit that bell. And then you can be here for every show that we have. And you can watch us live every Saturday morning at 8 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. And one, if not all of us, will be here as we discuss some principle of Think and Grow Rich. So I want to come back to each of you guys, and I'll start with you, Dr. Peter. What are some things that you're working on that you want people to be aware of, and how can people get a hold of you if they want some more of your professional accountability?
Yeah, good stuff. 2022 is going to be my best year ever. I have a burning desire that it's going to be that way. If in order to get in touch with me, please don't hesitate. You can find me on any social media platform at Dr. Peter A. James. That's at DrPetraJames. You can find me at shiftyourmindset.com. What do I have going on? Wow, some courses that I'm building, some masterminds that I'm also building for sure. And I'm looking forward to having, if you desire to be a part and get to your next level, you might want to reach out to me at shiftyourmindset.com for sure. I want to finish off with this though. Page 34 of Think and Grow Rich says there is a difference between wishing for a thing and being ready to receive it. You are never ready for a thing until you believe you can acquire it. The state of mind must be belief, not mere hope or wish. Open-mindedness is essential for belief. Closed-mindedness do not inspire faith, courage, or belief. And I guess what I'm asking you all is your mind opened? And if it's not, are you ready to make the shift? Ann McNeil.
Oh, yes. I tell you, I go back to desire. Ann McNeil, the Master Wealth Builder. You can find me at annmcneil.com/coaching, but only if you want greater clarity. But equally as important, join our International Mastermind Association beta test. You can get the details at International Mastermind Association, internationalmasterminders.com/group network. That's internationalmasterminders.com/, group mastermind. That is /group mastermind. And let us hear from you if you are currently in a mastermind group and you want to learn some best practices. We will be discussing the good, the bad, and the ugly of masterminding. And for those of you that are joining us here first thing in the morning at the IMA annual meeting live in Boca this morning, we want to thank you for participating. And please remember to comment, like, and share this podcast, but also subscribe. And we'll put the link in the chat on all of the platforms. And remember, you must have a dream in order to have a dream come true. And if you'd like to connect, please remember to connect with one of us to help you have a better quality of life in every area of your life. Thank you.
All right. This has been a great show, a great conversation, as it is every week. My name is Galen Bingham. I am the leadership strategist, and there's just two things I want to leave you with. Number one, I am launching each year. I launch a masterclass study of the book Think and Grow Rich. It's more than just a book study. We go through and leverage each of the principles against some goal that you say you want to achieve someday. And we actually make that a reality within that 10-week period. And so we're going to be launching cohort 5 of our masterclass on January the 10th. So you've got just a few days to register. You can find it by going to Eventbrite and typing in the search word GB Inspired Think and Grow Rich. So if you type in GB Inspired Think and Grow Rich, you will find it on Eventbrite. And then we'll also post a link here as well. Definitely worthwhile. I would really challenge you to take a look at that. And then the other thing is a great way to get a hold of me is by going to my podcast, Whiskey, Jazz, and Leadership, where we talk to leaders from all walks of life, and we discuss the whiskeys they drink, the jazz they listen to, and what it really takes to be an effective leader. This is real talk that you can't get anywhere else. And right now we've got part 1 of my conversation with none other than Miss Ann McNeil is out already. And you can pick that up. And the next part, the final part of my conversation with Miss Ann McNeil will come out next Tuesday. So definitely check that out. It's on any platform by just typing in Whiskey, Jazz, and Leadership on your favorite podcast platform and or in Audible or on Amazon. I double dog dare you to try us just once. Well, this is a great conversation. And I again, thank you for joining us every Saturday. I want to leave you with this. I want to leave you with the words of Napoleon Hill. And he says, desire backed by faith knows no such word as impossible. Think about that. Desire backed by faith knows no such word as impossible. Until next time, I hope that you think and grow rich. Take care.